Lord John Russell 1865-1866. Lord John Russell, a prominent figure in 19th-century British politics, left an indelible mark on the political landscape of his time. Born in 1792 into the illustrious Russell family, he inherited a legacy deeply rooted in politics and public service. Russell's political career was characterized by his commitment to reform and advocacy for the rights of the common man. As a member of the Whig Party, Russell rose through the ranks, holding various ministerial positions and playing a pivotal role in shaping the course of British history. Russell's political journey began in earnest in the early 19th century, marked by his election to the House of Commons in 1813. Throughout his career, he demonstrated a keen intellect and a progressive vision for a more equitable society. As the third son of the 6th Duke of Bedford, Russell faced the dual challenge of living up to his family's political legacy while establishing his individual identity within the realm of British politics. Russell's political acumen was evident in his early involvement in issues such as parliamentary reform and Catholic emancipation. His commitment to these causes earned him a reputation as a reformist and a champion of civil liberties. Russell's ascendancy within the Whig Party was marked by his appointment as Home Secretary in 1835, where he played a crucial role in advancing liberal policies. The years 1865 to 1866 were a critical juncture in Lord John Russell's political career, representing a culmination of his lifelong dedication to reform. By this time, Russell had already served as Prime Minister on 2 separate occasions, with his first term in office occurring from 1846 to 1852. The period of 1865 to 1866 marked his return to the premiership and presented him with new challenges and opportunities to shape the direction of the nation. During these years, Russell faced a rapidly changing political landscape. The issues at hand were complex, including electoral reform, social change, and economic challenges. The political climate was characterized by a growing demand for increased representation and political enfranchisement, reflecting the broader societal shifts taking place in Britain. Russell's response to these challenges and his leadership during this period would come to define the latter part of his political legacy. Lord John Russell's background and early life played a pivotal role in shaping his political identity and career. Born on August 18, 1792, into the esteemed Russell family, his lineage boasted a rich history of political engagement and public service. As the third son of John Russell, 6th Duke of Bedford, and Lady Georgiana Gordon, John Russell inherited not only a title but also a profound responsibility to contribute to the family's political legacy. The Russell family held significant influence within British aristocracy, and young John Russell grew up surrounded by the trappings of privilege and power. His early years were marked by exposure to the intellectual and political circles of the time, providing him with a unique perspective on the issues facing society. The family's expansive estate, Woburn Abbey, served as a center for social and political gatherings, exposing Russell to a diverse range of ideas and opinions. Despite the comfort of his upbringing, Russell's family background instilled in him a sense of duty and public service. The Russell family had a long-standing tradition of political activism and engagement, and this familial ethos undoubtedly influenced the young Lord Russell as he navigated his own path in the political arena. Lord John Russell's early political influences were shaped by the turbulent times in which he came of age. The turn of the 19th century saw the aftermath of the French Revolution and the rise of political ideologies centered around liberty and equality. These ideological currents had a profound impact on Russell's formative years, fostering a commitment to progressive ideals and a desire for political reform. Russell's entrance into formal politics occurred when he was elected as the Member of Parliament for Tavistock in 1813. This marked the beginning of his political career, and he quickly distinguished himself as a thoughtful and articulate advocate for reform. His early contributions included support for Catholic emancipation, reflecting his commitment to religious freedom and civil liberties. As the years progressed, so did Russell's influence within the Whig Party. His appointment as Home Secretary in 1835 marked a significant milestone, showcasing his administrative capabilities and commitment to progressive policies. Russell's rise to prominence within British politics was further solidified when he became the leader of the Whig Party and eventually ascended to the position of Prime Minister in 1846. Russell's journey from a privileged upbringing to a prominent political figure was characterized by a blend of familial influence, exposure to political discourse, and a personal dedication to the principles of reform and social progress. These formative experiences laid the groundwork for his later endeavors as a statesman during the critical period of 1865 to 1866. The years 1865 to 1866 were marked by a dynamic and transformative political climate in Britain, reflecting the evolving social, economic, and international landscape of the time. Lord John Russell, returning to the premiership during this period, found himself at the helm of a nation grappling with significant challenges and opportunities. The socio-political landscape of 1865 to 1866 was characterized by a complex interplay of factors that shaped the course of British history. The mid-19th century witnessed the continued expansion of industrialization, urbanization, and technological advancements, leading to profound shifts in societal structures. The population was growing, and urban centers were expanding, bringing about changes in demographics and social dynamics. Moreover, the effects of previous reforms, such as the Reform Act of 1832, were still reverberating through British society. The demand for further political reform and increased representation continued to gain momentum. The working class, in particular, sought a greater voice in the political process, leading to a fervent call for electoral reform. On the international front, Britain was navigating the complexities of global diplomacy. The aftermath of the Crimean War and the changing power dynamics in Europe influenced the nation's foreign policy decisions. Additionally, economic challenges, including issues related to trade and commerce, added another layer of complexity to the socio-political landscape. The question of electoral reform loomed large over the political landscape. Calls for expanding suffrage and addressing inequalities in the electoral system gained momentum. Russell's government faced the challenge of addressing these demands while balancing the interests of different classes and constituencies. The mid-19th century brought economic challenges, including issues related to trade, industrialization, and labor conditions. The government had to navigate policies that could foster economic growth while addressing the concerns of workers and industrialists. The global geopolitical scene was marked by changes in alliances and power dynamics. The British government, under Russell's leadership, had to navigate diplomatic challenges and ensure that Britain's interests were protected on the international stage. Society was undergoing significant transformations, and there was an increased awareness of social issues. Russell's government faced pressure to address social inequalities and implement reforms that would improve the living and working conditions of the populace. The period was characterized by shifts and realignments within political parties. Russell had to navigate the intricacies of party politics, managing internal divisions while steering the government through a period of change. In 1865, Lord John Russell assumed the position of Prime Minister for the third time, succeeding Lord Palmerston. His return to the highest office came at a crucial juncture when the nation was grappling with demands for political reform, economic progress, and social change. As Prime Minister, Russell held the reins of executive power and was tasked with navigating the complexities of both domestic and international affairs. In addition to his role as Prime Minister, Russell likely held other key ministerial positions, overseeing various government departments and coordinating the implementation of policies. His leadership style was characterized by a commitment to liberal principles and a pragmatic approach to addressing the multifaceted challenges facing the British government. One of the most notable initiatives during Russell's third premiership was the Reform Acts of 1867. These acts extended voting rights to a significant portion of the urban working class, marking a crucial step toward a more inclusive and representative democracy. The reforms aimed to address the calls for electoral fairness and political representation that had gained momentum during this period. Russell's government was engaged in managing Britain's foreign relations, particularly in the aftermath of the Crimean War. His diplomatic efforts sought to navigate the intricate balance of power in Europe and protect British interests on the global stage. The challenges in international relations required diplomatic finesse and strategic decision-making. Russell's leadership during 1865 to 1866 likely involved efforts to address economic challenges and implement social policies. The government would have been involved in economic planning to stimulate growth and address the concerns of different economic sectors. Social policies may have aimed at improving living and working conditions for the burgeoning urban population. Lord John Russell's third premiership during 1865 to 1866 was marked by significant legislative initiatives aimed at addressing demands for electoral reform and political representation. The Reform Acts of this period were pivotal in reshaping the British political landscape. The Representation of the People Act 1867, commonly known as the Second Reform Act, was a landmark piece of legislation during Russell's tenure. This act expanded the electorate by extending voting rights to a considerable portion of the male urban working class. It lowered property qualifications for voting, allowing a greater number of individuals to participate in the electoral process. Another key aspect of the Reform Acts of 1865 to 1866 was the redistribution of parliamentary seats. The legislation aimed to address the imbalance in representation, reallocating seats to better reflect the changing demographics and distribution of the population. This sought to eliminate rotten boroughs and enhance the fairness of the electoral system. Lord John Russell, with a long-standing commitment to political reform and liberal principles, played a crucial role in advocating for the Reform Acts of 1865 to 1866. His leadership reflected a recognition of the changing societal dynamics and a commitment to addressing the demands for increased political enfranchisement. Russell faced challenges within his own party regarding the extent of electoral reform. As Prime Minister, he had to navigate internal divisions and negotiate with different factions within the Liberal Party. Balancing the need for reform with the concerns of various party members required political acumen and leadership. Russell's experience and parliamentary skill were crucial in guiding the Reform Acts through the legislative process. He had to navigate debates in the House of Commons, respond to opposition, and garner support for the proposed reforms. Russell's ability to navigate the intricacies of parliamentary politics was instrumental in the success of the legislative agenda. The Reform Acts of 1865 to 1866 led to a significant expansion of the electorate. By lowering property qualifications, a larger segment of the male population gained the right to vote. This expansion marked a step toward a more inclusive and representative democracy. The increased enfranchisement of the working class had a profound impact on the political dynamics of the time. Political parties had to adapt to the changing electorate, and issues relevant to the working class gained prominence in political discourse. The redistribution of parliamentary seats addressed long-standing imbalances in representation. By eliminating smaller, less populated constituencies, the reforms aimed to ensure a fairer distribution of seats that more accurately reflected the population's distribution. The Reform Acts of 1865 to 1866 left a lasting legacy on the British political system. The principles of increased representation and fairer electoral practices became foundational elements of subsequent electoral reforms, shaping the evolution of British democracy in the years that followed. The period following the Crimean War, 1853 to 1856, witnessed a re-evaluation of Britain's foreign policy priorities. The war had involved a coalition of European powers, including Britain, against Russia. The aftermath saw the emergence of new challenges and the need for diplomatic finesse in maintaining the balance of power. The mid-19th century marked a time of shifting alliances and power struggles among European nations. The rise of new powers and the decline of traditional empires contributed to a dynamic and often unpredictable international environment. Britain's foreign policy was intricately tied to its economic interests. As a leading industrial and commercial power, Britain sought to protect its overseas trade routes, maintain access to markets, and secure resources vital to its economic prosperity. Russell's government likely implemented economic policies aimed at fostering growth and stability. The mid-19th century was characterized by ongoing industrialization, and the government would have sought to support industrial sectors while managing the challenges associated with rapid economic change. Given Britain's status as a leading commercial power, economic policies may have focused on promoting trade and protecting British interests in international markets. Negotiating trade agreements, addressing tariffs, and ensuring access to overseas markets were key considerations for economic policymakers. Investments in infrastructure, such as transportation and communication networks, were crucial for supporting economic activities. The government may have initiated projects to improve railways, ports, and telegraph systems, contributing to increased efficiency and connectivity. Maintaining financial stability would have been a priority. Russell's government likely implemented policies to regulate the banking sector, control inflation, and ensure a stable economic environment conducive to investment and growth. In conclusion, Lord John Russell's leadership during 1865 to 1866 and his broader contributions to British politics have left an enduring legacy. His commitment to political and social reform, diplomatic acumen, and advocacy for liberal principles continue to shape the foundations of modern British governance. The relevance of Russell's leadership lies in the enduring principles and practices that continue to influence political thought and action in the contemporary era. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it informative, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future.